Morning and welcome to the Connections pre-show. My name is Layla.
And I am Andy.
And we are so thankful that you are joining us today. It's been a minute since I've been here.
It's been a minute since you're here. Thank you. Yeah, we missed you so much, but I know it was softball, it was char-char, and she played well from what I heard every game, right?
Yes, she's been doing really good. And
awesome.
Unfortunately, we do have some more games coming up, so October I'll be hit or miss for the pre-show, but you guys are holding it down.
Hopefully Charlie will be hit and not a miss, right?
Exactly. Good one, Andy.
Yeah, see?
You're bringing it.
The dad jokes flow when you're a dad. It is what it is.
It's so true.
Or when you're a mom.
True.
QR code, as always, we want to direct you to that. Please digitally sign up with us, whether it's your first time, long time, and if you have any other questions, or if you have something to talk about this week's, our current sermon series. There might be something cool, a new feature coming up in the next few weeks. So if you have any questions about what's being talked about or things like that, please reach out to our church staff, and there might be a cool thing coming up. So we'll just leave it at that. A nice little tease.
Yes. And that Connect card, you definitely want to check out if you are joining us for the first time today, or if maybe this is your second or third time, because Andy's favorite topic, you just may get some Connection swag.
Swag and prizes, yeah,
prizes, that's right. I was like, what do you call it? Prizes.
Prizes, yeah. What do I call it? The same thing everybody calls something you get for doing prizes.
Well, swag is what came to mind for me.
Swag is good, no. And
prizes is better.
Our swag has definitely stepped up.
Heck yeah.
To know what that is, visit us and find out.
Yes,
all right.
Exactly.
How was your week? I know it's been pretty busy, pretty hectic, but...
Yeah, so travel softball is like...
When they say travel, it puts the travel in travel softball, right?
Yes, you will never be home. You will never see your family, and you better like sitting at the softball field.
You'll never see your friends, and hopefully you have a comfy lawn chair to sit in.
You will have no life. But yeah, so it's been really busy with that. And then
but Char loves it, right?
Yes, Charlie's doing great. She's learning a ton.
Yep.
And then, the Mister's traveling today. So
yeah, he's gone for work for this week. So yeah.
So I'm going to be...
So pray for Layla.
Yes. I'm gonna,
and Tony. We safe travels.
Yes. So what about you? How was your week?
Yeah, same. It was busy. Small group this week. We got to go back to that. We're gonna talk about that in a minute when we talk about our new sermon series. But we also just want you guys. Yeah. So it was a great time. It was nice to come back and just kind of sit with everybody and just kind of catch up how the summer went. Even though we talk here, it's a different setting when you're at home because you can just kind of really dive into what people did and stuff like that. So yeah, it was great.
Speaking of small groups, it's kind of weird, but when I was using the ladies' room, there's like it's weird. I know, but they have like a little
like
info flyer.
Board.
Yeah, on the back of the stall door, and I was like, "Hey, that's my house." So that was just funny. This moment, funny. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna just tell Andy on the pre-show."
Yeah,
I saw my house when I was doing the
tinkle. Saw my house in the bathroom. Well, speaking of funny, do you have a joke or two for us today?
I have a joke.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm always ready to not laugh at your jokes.
Okay.
So hit me. I mean, don't hit me. Give me the joke.
All right. Why should you knock on the refrigerator door before opening it?
No, I was going to say because it's always running, but that's a nose. I don't know. Because it's cold inside? I don't know.
In case there's a salad dressing.
Oh, boy. All right, you made me giggle a little bit. Oh, boy.
Think of me when you open that refrigerator door.
Yeah, well, I'm like, look at that salad dressing. Yeah. Salad, make sure you're dressed. I'm coming in. Which is what I have to do in the bathroom, like, because we have kids. And I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe it's because we're just such a close-knit family, but and I'm lazy, so I never, like, fully close the door. And maybe that just gone onto my kids, but I'll, like, have to be, like, knock, and then I'm, like, knock again. And I'm like, is anybody in here? And then they'll be, okay, we're safe. Because if you don't, the one time you don't knock or proclaim you're coming in the bathroom, someone will be like, hey, I'm in here, Dad. I'm like, oh, geez, sorry. I'm like, why didn't you say anything or close the door and lock it?
Yeah.
Ugh, kids.
So we haven't had like a movie review, or have you watched anything good lately?
What have I watched? Well, yeah, it's just been like TV shows and Marvel stuff. So like She-Hulk. It's been fun.
I like She-Hulk.
Yeah, it's like a very sitcom-y show.
Yes.
So and it's like 20 minutes, so it goes down nice and smooth.
I don't like that part.
Yeah. You want it to be longer? You want there to be more show?
I do.
I'm at the point where I like that. But, But
of course
that's
we
just
aren't
me.
on the same
Of course
page.
we're on the never on the same page when it comes to TV shows and Marvel movies. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Although, actually, we were on the same page with the goats when it came to Thor, remember?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
So, see, we're on the same page occasionally.
Yes.
Same book, different page.
That's all right.
Speaking of books, we have a book here for you guys to pick up and check out for our current sermon series. We are talking about deconstructing. So this is what if you join a certain small group, some of them are talking about this series, some of them are talking about other stuff.
Yeah.
If you go to our app and search groups, you can see what each group is going to be talking about for this session. We started, like I said, we started ours last week. We did, some people weren't able to make it because they had last minute family trips and things like that. So we grabbed books for them. But the book was written by Dave Sanders and it was put together by Steve Brubaker, and it looks awesome.
It is.
And if you're following along with us at home, there is an actual digital copy as well that you can get. So you can go to my3c.org and get that copy.
Awesome.
Why don't you talk about the new Connections party that's coming up, or the new dinner?
Yes. So this is something that we do at Connections on a monthly basis. If you are new to Connections or relatively new, we highly encourage you to check this out.
Yep.
You can go to the Wallheise's house, and if you're interested, you will want to go to the events tile, I believe.
The best tile.
Events tile. And that's where you can sign up for it. But you'll be able to meet other folks or families that are new to Connections.
Yep.
You'll be able to meet some staff at Connections. I think that staff rotate on a monthly basis as far as who will be there, so it'll be a surprise. It's never just Dave or just Steve.
Yep. And the Woolheises are awesome people.
Yes, they absolutely are.
And kids are welcome.
Yes,
So
kids are welcome,
we want
and
you to know that.
you'll be able to go and hang out, have some fun, and eat a meal.
Yep. So the next one is happening on October 7th.
Yes.
So if you check the church app or our website, like we mentioned, the app has our favorite tile, but the website also has things as well.
Yes.
Cool. Hey, we possibly have a date night coming up.
Oh, we do.
I mean, your favorite thing is to try to have a date night on blood drives.
I know. I was just thinking the other day, like,
it's been a while since we had a blood drive.
And I think part of it is because I'll get the email of like, hey,
Yep.
we want your blood.
Yeah. So that is coming up on October 10th from 3 to 7 here at the church.
Yes.
You can sign up on the Versity, and I'm saying that correct,
Yes,
right?
Versity.
The Versity website. Do you happen to recall any of the, facts that you had about blood drives when we did it back a year ago?
I don't. So
Why don't we talk about what's great about blood drives?
Oh, well, you get free snacks.
Oh, right.
That's
Sorry,
the first
snacks
thing
first.
that comes to mind.
Yeah. Helping out second, snacks first.
Exactly. You can race with people to see if maybe you can donate your blood faster than the other person.
Yep.
That's my personal favorite. Just a tidbit there. If you want to win the race, you should really make sure that you're eating a healthy meal the day of, a little bit before, and drink tons of water.
Tons of water. Okay.
Yes.
Well, you should be doing that anyway. But
Yes, you should. But if you want to win the blood race, you really should. I'm
I
getting
do. I'm very competitive.
I'm
so
getting
yes.
close to Tony.
Again, that is here, October 10th from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. We are going to take a little break from hearing us talk for a bit. We're going to turn it over to our ace reporter in the field. Still haven't come up with a great name, but she's like the best.
The best
there
of the
is.
best.
So we're going to turn it over to Lexi Seeley, and she's going to talk to some people there, and then we'll talk about what she talks about when we get back. Take it over, Lexi.
Good morning, Connections. It is fall. It is officially fall, so we are going to talk about that a little bit this morning. In particular, so I am a barista at Water Street Coffee Joint, and I love my job. And a beverage that is seasonal for the fall, pumpkin spice lattes. So we're going to ask the people of Connections, yay pumpkin spice lattes or nay pumpkin spice lattes? Let's go. Elizabeth Brubaker, are you a fan of the pumpkin spice latte?
I am, yeah.
Heck yeah, she is. Cool. Pumpkin spice lattes for the win. Let's keep asking people. Good morning, guys. I have a question for you today. The pumpkin spice latte. Are you a fan or are you not a fan?
I haven't tried it. Is it here now?
No, but you definitely need to try one because they are bomb.com.
I'm gonna try.
It is like fall in a cup. It's delicious.
Okay. Now where do I get this at?
Any coffee shop. Just go to a coffee shop.
You can go to your coffee shop.
I'm absolutely not on the pumpkin. No.
Why?
Yeah, let's
I
talk
just
about
can't get into it. I can't do it. The creamers, no, I'm anti-pumpkin.
What is wrong with you?
Say that again. Say that again.
What is wrong with
Just
you?
not.
Are you normal?
We can still be friends.
Oh my god. You know, the thing is, in most pumpkin spice lattes, it's just going to be espresso, a little bit of pumpkin syrup, and then they're just milk. Like, there's no cream or stuff added to it.
You want to think?
The syrup. You just don't like the syrup.
Maybe I'll try one this afternoon.
Yes, you are going to try one this afternoon. Awesome. Cool. I'm going to keep asking people. Have a great morning, guys. Friends, everybody, I have a question for you. Pumpkin spice lattes, yay or nay?
Nay.
Nay.
They're mid.
I say whatever you made me earlier this week, the chai latte was good.
Okay, chai latte. That's a tea latte. I consider that like a fall beverage. That's a good fall staple beverage. Okay, she likes chais. No pumpkin spice latte? You guys are killing me. Okay, we're going to come over here. Pumpkin spice latte, yay or nay?
I like them. They're good.
Yeah, you do. Pumpkin spice latte. Austin, have you ever tried a pumpkin spice latte?
I have not.
All right, that's my challenge for you. Try a pumpkin spice latte. Cool. All right. One more person. We're going to ask one more crew of people. Guys, good morning. Good morning. I have a question for you. Yes. It's fall. Yes. Pumpkin spice lattes. You like them, you hate them.
No, I'm just a normal kind of guy. Yeah.
Okay, so I love like everything pumpkin but drinks. So I don't drink coffee at all.
No coffee whatsoever?
No caffeine. None of it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but you like pumpkin.
I love pumpkin.
Okay.
Pumpkin muffins, pumpkin rolls, pumpkin anything. Love it, except for drinks.
That's acceptable. I'll take that. Cool. Thank you guys. Have a great morning. All right. That was fun. And I cannot believe the amount of people that don't like pumpkin spice lattes in this church. This is crazy. I'm going to head it over to Andy and Layla. Andy and Layla, I have a question for you this morning. Do you guys like pumpkin spice lattes? Let's hear it.
It's a no from us, Lexi.
I don't drink coffee in general, but
I just don't like pumpkin stuff.
I like pumpkin pie and pumpkin rolls. I mean, we know I love pumpkin pie. Pie's better than cake. But but yeah, no, pumpkin spice, I don't like people talking about it. I get sick of hearing it because people are like, it's right around the corner, it's fall, pumpkin spice. I'm like, who cares? Just drink it and I don't need to hear about it.
So if you are watching right now and you're opinionated as us at Connections about pumpkin spice,
let us know. Pumpkin spice, yay or nay?
Yeah, yay or nay. But I'm surprised. It seems to be like more nays than yays.
Well, I'm not surprised because I think that people are just like, bombarded by it.
Yeah.
It's coffee places trying to get us to drink pumpkin spice latte because it's like, it's fall. Everybody loves it. No, they don't.
Those pumpkin spice lovers.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, it's fall.
It's fall, y'all.
What happens in fall? Some things.
Some things.
Tell me, what are some holidays that happen in fall?
One holiday that's kind of fun.
What's that?
Oh, Halloween.
Halloween, yeah, I get to dress up, pretend you're something that you're not, which I
like
love
robots.
doing. I do that every single week here.
Andy,
pretend that I'm like responsible and ready for this.
And Andy especially loves being a robot.
Oh yeah, last
year we were robots.
Couldn't even move my arms. Yeah, that's not happening this year. We're gonna do something different. Anyway, we have a cool thing coming up. Our trunk or treat. Why don't you tell about it since you have literally kids? Since my kids won't be going to this.
Yeah. So if you are interested in helping with trunk or treat, you can sign up on the events tile.
Always.
Yeah.
Capital EVENTS.
Yes, like events. We're screaming at you, tile. And if you doing the trunk, I don't know how to like say this. Like if you don't want to do the trunk, then you can always donate candy for the trunk or treat.
Yep.
But as you said, it will be on October 30th here at church. We would definitely need some candy, some bags of candy, because that's the most important part of Halloween is getting all the candy for the kids.
Yep.
But yeah, if you are interested, please sign up as soon as possible, just so that we can plan accordingly. And then if you want to join, make sure that you mark your calendars for the 30th to come
October 30th. This is a great chance to reach out to the surrounding, community and stuff like that, because people want a safe space where their kids can come, have fun, and get candy, and then we can also just throw in a little bit of Jesus at them too.
Absolutely.
Which is always a great thing.
Absolutely. I love seeing all the costumes for the kids.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts. Like our neighborhood doesn't get any trick or treaters,
ours
for some reason, and if there's other main roads they get them, but they never venture down ours. The occasional kids that do, I'm like, here's like a handful of candy in there. So I think that's why they might come down there. I'm not, just because our road isn't as
but it's like such
popular.
a cute little quaint neighborhood.
I know. Yeah. But like I said, some of the busier roads that you can park easy and get in and out, those are busy. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy that like October is just a few weeks away.
I know. It seems like we just started school, and I'm like, we're in October already.
Yeah.
And then
it's nuts.
I'm just counting down days till Christmas after that.
I know.
Actually, no.
So are my
Thanksgiving, because then I get to eat pumpkin pie, not pumpkin spice lattes. But we also want you to know, we just talked about it with this. If you're feeling the need to give back in some way, there's ways you can do that monetarily, which is awesome. God calls us to do that, but we also know that life happens, so pray on it. What you can give through our app here. You can give if you show up at church. There's still time. You can show up. You can come in late. We don't care. We love having as many people here whenever they get here. But if you're also feeling the need to give back and you want to give back in a different way, you can also volunteer your time. There's so many different spots here. You can reach out to any of the pastors on staff. They will help fit you in what you like to do, because there's not just doing this stuff, which I love doing, but there's also greeting, there's also opening and closing doors. If I can do that, anybody can do it. There's helping with kids, there's helping with the worship team, there's tech teams. So we would love you. So speaking of that, we're going to see how awesome our tech and worship teams are. So we're going to turn it over to them. We hope you have an awesome week.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
All right, everybody, good morning. Man, it's good to see you all here. The lobby is buzzing this morning. Lots of kids running around. Hopefully you all got some snacks from the cafe, and maybe you needed some coffee or some hot cocoa to warm up. The weather's gotten a little bit cooler, hasn't it? Man, I don't know. Some of you are excited, some are not. But yeah, so we're so glad that you could be here today. We've got a great Sunday planned for you. For those of you who don't know, my name is Perry. I'm one of the pastors here at Connections, and we just are so glad that each and every one of you could be here. If you've only been here a few times and you have never connected with us, which means you've not gone to the Welcome Center and gotten a gift, we've got a gift for you, and it's awesome. And if you do it a second time, we've got another gift for you, which is also awesome. So all you have to do is scan the QR code in front of you, let us know who you are, and go ahead and go back there, and we would love to be able to bless you with something there as well. So what I'd like you to do now, though, is go ahead and stand up. We're going to worship together this morning, and then we're going to have a message, and then we're going to wrap things up. So let's go ahead and do this together.
Well, good morning, Connections family. I'm so happy you're all here with us to worship this morning. Step out of the shadows, step out of the grave, break into the wild. When the best of me is barely breathing, when I'm not somebody I believe in, hold on to me. When I miss the light, the night is stolen. When I'm slamming all the doors you've opened, hold on to me. Hold on to me.
am so grateful that when we are faithless, you are faithful still. When we let go, you hold on. When we give up, you don't. I am so grateful that you're our rock, our fortress, our strong tower. You are our one sure thing. I am grateful this morning that no matter how this past week has gone, whether we have succeeded or failed, whether things have gone well or things have gone poorly, you wait for us with open arms to be what the moment requires. So may your forgiveness, your love, your security, your assurance, your grace, your peace, your love fill our hearts and change us as we meet in your presence this morning. I'm asking that you would do a work of grace in every single one of us, that we might know we've met with you and you have done something real. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. You may go ahead and have a seat. Well, welcome to Connections. I'm so glad that you're here. For the many of you that are in the room, for those of you that are joining us online, our prayer has been that our moments together this morning will be meaningful, that God will do something that is unmistakably Him, and we'll leave knowing that we've been impacted by the one true and living God. In 1971, that's the year after the Beatles broke up, John Lennon released his signature song, Imagine. I bet you know the song, don't you? It was named by the National Music Publishers Association as the song of the century. Over 21 million copies have been sold. It's been covered by countless artists, countless bands, and watched on YouTube hundreds of millions of times. Since 2006, it's been on the playlist for when the ball drops in New York City and a new year has begun. It's been played at the opening and the closing ceremonies of the Olympic Games. It's the song. Do you remember the lyrics to the song? Here's how the first verse goes. It says, imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Yeah, hey. You know the song, right? I mean, we know it. It's everywhere. It's John Lennon's signature song. Well, guess what? We don't need to imagine anymore. Because the worldview, the mindset that this song espouses is now entrenched in American culture. It's just the way most people think. There's no God to guide us or answer to. There's no eternal reward to aspire to or eternal punishment to avoid. We can just live for today. We can do what feels right, what seems good, what will make us happy. We could give a name to this philosophy. It's called secularism. And it's not really new in our day. It was around in Jesus' day. Eat, drink, and be merry, they said, because tomorrow we die. But for as long as this worldview has been around, in today's culture, it has gained unprecedented power. And it's one of the three great pressures that you and I face every single day that can stress, crack, and even crush our Christian faith. We just began a series here at Connections called deconstruction. Deconstruction is the term that is used to describe the process of questioning, examining, and then largely abandoning the Christian faith. In unprecedented numbers, people are deconverting from Christianity. They're walking away from actively believing in and following Jesus. And we're asking ourselves this question: why is this? And is there anything that we can do about it? We're beginning this journey by talking about these three faith-eroding pressures that we all face every single day. These particular pressures come in the form of ideologies, concepts, philosophies, mindsets that are so entrenched in our culture that you and I are expected to embrace them. We are considered unenlightened, backward, even evil if we don't embrace them. And make no mistake about it, in multiple ways we are punished if we don't comply to these ideologies. Today we're talking about the first one, and that is secularism. Now, let me be really clear about what I'm talking about when I use the word secular. See, the word can be used in several different ways. The word secular can mean simply apart from religion, something not inherently religious. So a church service is religious. A football game is not, even if it's Notre Dame. It's just not. Okay? It can't just mean apart from religion. It can also mean no imposed religion. Did you know the United States was founded, in this sense of the word, to be a secular nation? The government could not impose a faith system on anyone. And we are free to choose what we want to believe in, and we are free to practice it and to espouse it in the public arena. The word secular can simply mean no imposed religion. But when it becomes a worldview, it becomes something else entirely. Now, what's a worldview? For me, the easiest way to understand it is this. A worldview is simply what you believe to be true about yourself, about why you're here, and about how to live your best life. That's your worldview. I mean, it's like, who are you? And why are you here? And how do you best live your life? We all have a worldview. Our worldview is a filter that we use to determine how we're going to live our lives, how we are going to interpret and respond to everything that happens around us. And we all have a worldview. We all have an answer to these questions, even if we've never thought it through. Now, what's a secular worldview? This is the simplest way, I think, to understand it. A secular view is living your life without God in the picture. That's it. I mean, God may exist, but He's not really much of a factor apart from maybe 60 minutes on Sunday morning. He's not really a factor in how I go about living my life. God's not a factor in the job I have or how I do my job. God's not a factor in my marriage or the raising of my children or grandchildren. God's not a factor in my sex life or my sexuality. God is not a factor in my politics and the laws or policies that I support. God is really not a factor in how I spend my time or how I spend my money. God's not really a factor in how I go about trying to live my best life. When we live life without God in the picture, it's a secular world view. Natasha Crane, in her excellent book, Faithfully Different, enumerated the 4 prime values of a secular worldview. And it's so good and insightful, I thought I'd share it with you. She says the first value is this: feelings are the ultimate guide. You gotta follow your heart. You know, what are your dreams? Pursue your dreams with all of your being. What is it that you want in life? And whatever you want, you should pursue with all of your being, because however you feel, whatever you want, whatever you desire, that is the best determination of what you should do with your life. It's the ultimate guide. Second, she says happiness is the ultimate goal. Hey, whatever it takes to be happy. I've talked to so many parents. What do you want for your kids? And the answer boils in this: I just want them to be happy. Really? Yeah, because as long as they're happy, everything is good. It's the ultimate goal in life. Third, she says, judging is the ultimate sin. I mean, after all, if my feelings are my guide, and me pursuing what I see as happiness is the ultimate goal, who are you to judge me? Who are you to judge how I feel? Who are you to judge what I want? Who are you to judge what I think is going to make me happy? So in our culture, if we're going to love somebody, it means we have to affirm everything they feel like doing. And if we don't affirm it, it's considered hate. So if somebody stands before you with male genitalia and XY chromosomes, but says, I am actually a woman, we're supposed to go, okay. If a child, an adolescent, says, I know that I look like a boy, but I really feel like I should be a girl, and therefore I want to go on puberty blockers, and I want to have gender reassignment surgery, we're supposed to go, whatever makes you happy. Who am I to judge? Because the one sin we cannot commit in a secular worldview is judging anybody for anything. Then she winds it up by saying this: God is the ultimate yes. Oh, God may exist. We're not saying he doesn't exist, but there are two things we can know for sure. Number one, you can't be confident on what God is really like. And number two, you can't be confident as to what God really wants. Like somehow God has given some sort of binding direction on human beings. Look, there are too many people, too many religions, saying too many different things, so nobody can know for sure. God is just a guess, and if you want to guess and it makes you feel good, more power to you. But let's admit, nobody can know anything for sure. It's just a guess. And these values, feelings, my ultimate guide, happiness, my ultimate goal, judging, ultimate sin, God, ultimate guess. Those are the values that are embraced by a secular worldview. Living like God is not in the picture. Now, I wonder what Jesus would think about that. Actually, I don't have to wonder. He actually spoke to these things, and it's fascinating. I mean, let's kind of just go through what I think would be a Jesus review quite quickly. Feelings are the ultimate guide. Jesus echoed the words of the prophet Jeremiah when he said in chapter 17 and verse 9 of the book that bears his name, the heart is deceitful above everything else, and it's incurably sick. No one can know the depths of its darkness. Jesus would say, if you're going to use your feelings to guide you, you're going to be led astray every single time, because our hearts can trick us, and what we feel like today, we may not feel like tomorrow, and what we can feel and right could turn out to be very, very wrong. Happiness, the ultimate goal? Jesus would go, happiness is a good thing, but it's not a goal, it's a byproduct. In fact, if you pursue happiness as a goal, you will never find it. Here's what Jesus would say. He would echo the words of the psalmist in Psalm 16 and verse 11, when he said, in your presence, God, is fullness of joy, and at your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Jesus would say, if you want something that transcends mere happiness, and you want joy and satisfaction in your life that's dependent of circumstance, and that can never be taken taken from you. It's going to be found in a relationship with God by living your life under the direction of power of God. And when you live for that, happiness is a byproduct that develops in your life. Judging is the ultimate sin. Jesus would say, anytime you affirm what God says is evil as being good, you are practicing evil. How unloving, Jesus would say, is it to look at someone doing something wrong that is self-destructive to design and plan of God and somehow affirm that? That's evil. He would echo the words of the prophet Isaiah found in chapter 5 and verse 20 when it says, woe to you that call evil good and good evil. When you swap the tags over what God has said, you damage human beings and you aid in their demise. And God, the ultimate guess? Jesus would go, the whole reason I came is to reveal what God is actually like. It's why he said this in John chapter 8. He said, look, if you continue in my teaching, you will know the truth. You'll know it. And that truth will set you free to be everything a human being was designed to be. Jesus would critique the values of a secularistic worldview and go, none of them are true. All of them are problematic and damaging. Jesus would say, live your life like God is in the picture. So let's answer that question. Why should I live as though God were in the picture? Now, to answer the question, we're going to look at a man whose name is Joseph. His history is recorded in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. And as we read his story, we can discern reasons why it is true and wise to live our lives as though God were actually in the picture. Here's the first reason. It's because God's presence is real. There's why we should live like God's in the picture, because he is. Joseph had great promise in his life, great potential. His brothers were jealous. They sold him into slavery. He was taken down to Egypt, and now he was sold as a slave to a man whose name is Potiphar. But look what happens. It says the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered as he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. That's Potiphar. His master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord gave him success in all that he did. Joseph goes, a real God is with me. The Egyptian said, the evidence of God being with you is obvious. Oh, but get this, we don't simply have to rely on the Bible to embrace the notion that God is real and God is here. Can I suggest to you this morning that there is abundant, I would say overwhelming evidence for the reality of God. Here are some terms that we're going to revisit from time to time in this series. There's the cosmological argument. In other words, how did everything that is here get here? Science says it all has a beginning. Science says matter is not eternal. All right, where did it come from? Who is the one who caused the Big Bang to happen and something to come out of nothing? The second is the design argument. Why is it that our world is filled with design as though there was a designer? Why is it that there's order and beauty? Why is it that in every strand of human DNA there is 250 megabytes of information? We see one or two words and we go, and intelligent was behind it. 250 million megabytes of information in every strand of human DNA. The argument of design. There's the moral argument. Why is it that human beings have an inherent universal sense of right and wrong, good and bad? Why is it they believe that justice needs to be done when wrong is being committed? How, in a world of time and chance and randomness, can a universal sense of morality possibly exist? There's this experiential argument. Why have hundreds of millions of people claimed to have an encounter with God that has changed their lives for real and for good, and so deeply that they are willing to sacrifice and die for the God whom they claim they know? These are just some of the lines of argument that present a case for the rationality of believing that God is, and He exists as Jesus described Him. God's presence is real. So we find verses like this. Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 3 says, "The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good." No matter where you go, God's there and He's watching. It doesn't matter whether you are good or you are bad, you're doing good, you are bad. No matter where you go, God sees everything. We hear these words in the book of Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 13. "Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of Him to whom we must give an account." God's always watching, even if we don't think He is or we forget about it. You know, from time to time, we babysit our grandchildren. And the younger ones, there's a time in the day when they have to take a nap. And so we have a back bedroom, and we can make it dark in there, and we have a crib for them to go onto, and we'll, play with them, and then we'll read a story, and we'll settle them down, and then we'll take them back in. Okay, it's time for a little quiet time. I want you to stay in bed, all right, and get a little sleep, and we'll leave the room. Now, here's what they don't know. There's this cool invention called a baby monitor. And we can look at that monitor and see everything they're doing. We see when they get up. We see when they get out of the crib. They see when they stop playing stuff. We're playing with stuff. And I love this. You can also talk to them over the baby monitor. So then they're playing. All of a sudden we'll go back to bed. And they're like, whoa, God. It's so cool. It's almost like God has a baby monitor everywhere you go, and He's always watching. Sees it all. His presence is real. I'll give you a second reason why we should live like God is in the picture. It's because the awareness of God's presence is the linchpin to living an honorable life. An honorable life. Look, we're all living lives of honor or shame. And if we're going to consistently be men and women of honor, it's going to be because we know God sees and God responds in the here and now and forever to all we do. I love what it says about Joseph. It says after a while his master's wife took notice of Joseph. Notice. And so she said, "Come to bed with me." But he refused. How then can I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? How can I do a wicked thing? A wicked thing describes anything that if I do it, it damages humans and relationships. And then he said, and not only that, but how could I sin against God? How could I disappoint Him? How could I crush His heart? How could I wound Him? How could I do something that God will look upon me with disfavor about? I can't do it. You see, he said, I'm going to do the honorable thing because I know all I do is in the presence of a God who's watching, responding, and recording everything I do. See, doing the honorable thing is often hard. It is. It's just hard. I mean, it's difficult. It's costly. It might not be popular. It might require some significant degree of sacrifice. But if we're going to be men and women of honor, we're going to do the right thing because we know God would approve. We know that God is watching. We'll know we give an account. We know God is responding. So we're going to do the honorable thing, and we won't live a life of shame, but a life of honor. And listen, the day will come when we give account to the one who watches all, and in that day we will either be people of honor or shame. And an honorable life is forged because we always know God is there and He watches and He responds and records to all I do. Here's the third reason why, is because living in the light of God's presence leads to a meaningful life. Now, when we see the story of Joseph, beginning in chapter 39 and then going on through the end of the book of Genesis, chapter 50, and we don't have time to read it all, I want to encourage you, go read his story. It will inspire you. We find that Joseph, because he decided to live a life of honor, that led to prison, and then to the palace, and then to a life of power, and he ended up saving 2 nations and his own family. The potential that was in Joseph's life was realized, so he lived a life that mattered. He lived a life of meaning. And so it is that your life and my life are filled with incredible potential, but only if we live in the light of God's presence does that potential get realized, and we forge lives that matter and that actually mean something. This is a picture of Father Maximilian Kolbe. He was like a pastor in Poland in the late 1930s. And he began to recognize what was happening in Europe and the threat of Nazi Germany. And he began to preach and he began to write against the ungodliness and inhumanity of this regime. He marshaled resistance. When he saw that they were about to be invaded, he helped vulnerable people escape Poland. When the Nazis took over their country, they knew exactly who Maximilian Kolbe was. They found him, they arrested him, and they sent him to the prison camp Auschwitz. There, because of his faith, he was particularly treated with cruelty, but he remained true to God. He counseled and shared faith with a number of prisoners. He encouraged them to stay true. He encouraged them that there is hope, that there's a freedom that you can have on the inside that is so powerful that no matter how we're treated on the outside, we can live as free human beings. The Nazis had a practice. If anybody escaped, they would take 10 prisoners and they would execute them by starvation. It was to send a message to everybody else, you get out of here, we're going to kill 10 of your comrades. Well, someone escaped. So the Nazis were picking out 10 people. And one of the last ones they picked was a young family man. And he began to cry out, no, don't pick me. I have a wife, I have some small kids somewhere. They need me, they depend on me. The Nazis just laughed. But Maximilian Kolbe stepped forward and said, I'll take his place. He said, look, I'm an old man. He was 47. He said, I'm an old man. I'm a religious guy. You don't like me anyway. I'll take his place. And so they agreed. They set the family guy free. They brought him in. They took him along with 9 others and they put him in a separate cell, separate building where they began to starve to death. Now, the prisoners were used to this process. After a couple of days, they would be arguing, swearing, cursing, fighting as people were preparing to die, and they turned on each other until finally all the voices were silent. But this time it was different. You know what they heard this time? Singing. Worship, songs to God. They heard prayers. They were reminded of the times when Father Kolbe would share his own meager portions of food with other prisoners to keep them alive. And now, even with no food to share, he was sharing hope and life and connection in Jesus. The guards were so infuriated that after a number of days, they went into the prison and injected him with poison so that he would die. And he did. But then Auschwitz was liberated. And hundreds of people testified that the only reason they survived the horror of that camp was the inspiration they got from Father Colby. The only reason they survived is they found life in Jesus through the stories this man told. And he always let them know that there's a freedom on the inside. There's a next life that God will reward and bless you if you're faithful to him. And all the potential in this man's life was realized, and he lived a life of honor and a life of meaning. He mattered. Ask anybody whose life he touched. If you and I want to live lives of honor and meaning, it will be because we realize all we do in the presence of God. He watches, he responds, he records, he rewards. And these are the reasons why we should live like God is in the picture. Because he is. So, how do we do this exactly? I mean, how do we resist this ubiquitous pressure of secularism that erodes our faith and gets us to live as though God's not in the picture? I think Romans 12, the first 2 verses, give us a game plan. Here's what it says. It says, therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God, which is your reasonable, your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good and pleasant and perfect will. 3 planks to this strategy. First, renew your devotion to Jesus every day. See, devotion erodes unless it's renewed. The word present your bodies a living sacrifice means draw near and make available. Draw near and make available. When I was in grade school, my favorite class was recess. And in recess, we would play a game. And it all started the same way. There would be 2 captains. And they would stand opposite each other. They would look at everybody and they would go, I pick you. And then that person would get out of the crowd and go stand next to the captain. And then the other captain would go, and I pick you. And that person would come and stand near the captain. And they'd pick and stand near and pick and stand near until all the sides were chosen. And really, we don't even know why we were doing it, but when we got picked, we wanted to draw near to say, I'm on your side, and go, I'm available. Put me where you want to put me. Use me how you want to use me, so that our side can win the game. And in a very real way, every single day, Jesus comes to you and me and goes, I'm calling your name. I want you on my side today. I want you to advance my purposes today. I want you to bless the world today. I want you to do what I want you to do today. And every day we either go, yep, we draw near and make ourselves available, or we don't. So here's a challenge I want to issue to everyone. Within the first 15 minutes of each day. Now, I was so tempted to go in your first act of the day. But if you're like me, before an act can be meaningful, it requires a cup of coffee. So there's enough time in there to brew a cup of coffee, take a few sips, be fully awake, and then go, I want to yield my life and my day to you, Jesus. And I challenge you in the first 15 minutes of every new day, you yield your life and your day to Jesus, and you say, here I am, I draw near, I'm available. Whatever you want to do with me, whatever you want to do to me, whatever you want to do through me, your will be done. I am yours. Second plank of the strategy would be this: reflect on insights from the Scripture. When it says that we're to simply be transformed by the renewal of our mind, it means that we take the teachings of Jesus and we let them fill our minds, we think about them, so that we can think right thoughts, we can adopt healthy attitudes, and we can gain accurate perspective. So here's my challenge to you. Carry one thought from the Bible with you into every single day. Maybe it's a thought you read the day before, the night before. Maybe it's a thought from your time with Jesus in the morning, whenever you do it. But say, I'm going to take one thought, one thing I learned, one thing that impressed me, and I'm going to carry that with me, and I'm going to think about it throughout the course of the day. Maybe I jot it down on a note. Maybe I put it in my phone. But I'm going to think about, what does this mean? How should this apply? How does Jesus want me to live, speak, respond based on this one thing right here? And let it work its way through your mind. The third plank in the strategy would be this. Remember the Lord as you move through your day. When it says, then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good and pleasing and perfect will, it's basically saying, look, you're remembering God and you're asking yourself the question, God, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to respond? What do you want me to say? You're factoring God in. You're remembering that He's there. See, the word remember in the Bible means to call something to mind for the purpose of taking the appropriate action. God, I know you're here, so what do you want me to do? So here's my challenge for you. Place memory triggers throughout your world. A memory trigger is an object, a verse, a word, a picture that when you see it, it makes you think of God. It just reminds you, God's here. God's watching. God cares. God's involved. I want to factor God in. I found myself for the last few months having a word. And whenever I hear this word, it's become a trigger for me to think about God and what God wants me to do. And the word is fight. Because there's been this growing compulsion inside of me to fight to the end. To fight for my family, to fight for you and our church, to fight for our culture, to be used by God to do whatever needs to be done to raise up a new generation of people who will change the world for Jesus. Fight and fight and fight. So whenever I hear the word, it triggers something to me, and I remember God. And often, in that moment, I start fighting. I fight by using the most powerful weapon any Christian has. It's prayer. And in prayer, I fight for my family. I fight for you. I fight for our church. I fight for our culture. Put memory triggers throughout your world. So here's a synopsis of everything I've said. So if you've been sleeping, wake up. Here it is, right here, in a nutshell. We must not let the pressures we face in the world squeeze us into a secular way of thinking. God is in the picture. And living like it is the key to an honorable and meaningful life. So renew your devotion to Jesus every day. Reflect on how His teaching should impact your life. And remember the Lord as you move through the day. God's plan and purpose for your life will be realized when we don't think in a secular way, but we factor God into everything we do. And in so doing, we not only honor Him, we change our world. Father, thank you for the opportunities of this morning, and I ask in the name of Jesus, by your grace, that you will help all of us to be able to withstand the secular ideology that is everywhere in our culture. May we live like you are there, and so live honorably and meaningfully. I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Man, what an incredible time of worship this morning. My name is Josh. I'm the youth pastor here. And I just want to encourage you guys, if you have not gotten one of these deconstruction devotional books, to get one whenever you walk out of service at the Welcome Center, or the ushers might be handing them out. These are full of devotionals that tie into the message that Dave will be speaking each week throughout these series. My wife and I have been doing them, and they're absolutely amazing. They create amazing conversation. So I really encourage you guys to grab these. So in this season at Connections Community Church, we are really focusing on our next generation through our youth and our kids ministry. The youth ministry, we strive to connect every student into a healthy, God-loving, and serving community. And our kids ministry takes any kid that's newborn all the way up to 5th grade and gears and gives them a message all about God directly towards them. We would love for you guys to maybe volunteer in either one of those ministries, but most importantly, to be praying for those ministries, to pray that God works in them, pray for every single student or kid that goes to them. We would really, really appreciate that. And all of that is possible because of your continual generosity by giving your time and your financial resources. If you'd like to partner with the ministries here, we have offering baskets in the back, or you can give through our app or our website. Thank you so much for joining today, and have an amazing week.
What you've done.